Well, well, well. Guess who's back? It's the Carb Addiction Doc, Dr. Cywes. You know, the Carb Addiction Doc who promotes eating carbs. Yeah, that guy. Yeah. Well, he's got a brand new GLP-1 drug commercial out. So I can't wait for this one. Let's get into this right here on Black Box Warning.
I've got a lot to say, can't hold it in this time. Got no filter, I got no filter. No filter, I got no filter. No filter, I got no filter. No filter, I got no filter.
Hi folks, it's Dr. Rob Cywes. I am the Carb Addiction Doc. And recently I've been hearing a ton of noise, pro and against, and a lot of gum flapping and a lot of conspiracy theories about GLP-1 medications.
Gum flapping and conspiracy theories. I'm just going to keep listening.
In particular, the new one, Triple G or Retatrutide, it doesn't even have a trade name yet because it's not available. It's kind of available on the black market, but not really available in this
The black market? What? Oh, God.
country. But Triple G. So I want to go through in this video a little bit of the science behind these medications, which one are optimal and how do you choose and what do they do? And then in
Hold on a little minute. Hold on. Please call, or he's got a little number up here, I guess, for you to call and ask for help getting on some of these things, maybe. I don't know. Is that what this is for? It just says, please call.
this video, a little bit of the science behind these medications, which one are optimal and how do you choose and what do they do? And then in the next video, I'm going to talk specifically about the optimal diet.
Oh, no, dude. No. I'm sorry. I got to go back.
And what do they do? And then in the next video,
Okay. GLP-1. Okay. Know when to use them, know when to hold them, know when to fold them. We can count the pounds when the living is done. Improve your metabolic health.
Why are you gay?
This is a commercial for GLP-1s. My God, how the mighty have freaking fallen. I don't even know what to say. I gotta watch some of this, but that's what this is. This is a commercial, I believe, based on his little, what is that, Kenny Rogers? Was that from the 70s? Nobody's gonna know where this, I don't know. Well, I do, but I'm just saying, like, oh my God, guys, what in the hell? Oh, dude, no. Okay, I'm gonna keep going.
I'm going to talk specifically about the optimal diet for people taking a GLP-1 medication. So first and foremost, GLP-1s have been around for 15 to 20 years.
Okay, I'm gonna, now he's stressing in the beginning that he's talking about the diet, but I have a feeling, I'm just gonna predict, okay, that this is a commercial for GLP-1s. I'm going to predict that. He's talking about diet to make it seem less heinous, but it's a commercial.
Yes, they were discovered as part of the Gila monster protein venom.
What the hell did you just say?
It's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
Yeah, boy!
And they were, oh, it's a Gila monster poison. No, many products, many medications are parts of animal products that have been identified and modified and useful. So yes, there's an origin.
And yes, that's true. And I said that in my video when I actually went over how they figured this out. It's just kind of creepy and interesting. And most people don't understand the type of research that's done to actually get to the actual drug form. So that was more of an interesting video. But it's also more about hijacking when I talk about these drugs, the thing that I have a problem with is that they hijack your normal physiology, and that's not a good thing in my eyes, especially when, a lot of these drugs are not used like, I don't know, if you were going to use something that is this potentially dangerous, you would use it on only extreme cases, and that's not what's being done. Plus, again, it's because of the hijacking mechanism, because it's basically subverting something your body's normally supposed to do. That's my biggest problem with most of the drugs that over the years I've watched people suffer from in the industry that I was in. So, yeah, I mean, he's bringing that up kind of as like I don't know, like people are not taking it because of that, which I don't think so.
Scientists discovered this polypeptide chain, and they found that it looked very, very similar to a naturally produced human molecule that occurs in two parts in my intestine, the upper small intestine and the lower small intestine, called glucagon-like peptide, or GLP-1. And it's a molecule that occurs naturally. So what does GLP-1 do? It is a primary signaling molecule at the time of feeding, primarily triggered by carbohydrates in the gut, that triggers the release of insulin by the pancreas. It's a signaling molecule to say to the liver, hey guys, there's sugar coming in, release insulin, and also simultaneously blocks or decreases glucagon. That's what it does. And then it has other effects on metabolic shifting of cells, every cell in the human body, switching the cells off from utilization mode into what I call storage phase, getting the cells of the human body ready to be net recipients of energy and of nutrients because this animal has eaten. That's really what GLP-1 is doing, saying,
Okay, and I just would like to remind people that back in the day, there was a drug, it was a combination drug called fen-phen. And the way he's talking about how miraculous these drugs are is the way they were talking about fen-phen for weight loss. Lots of cardiac events later, there's a lot of bodies. So that's what always happens. The thing is like in my experience, and this is an opinion, I'm talking about all drugs. Since drugs are not there to cure people, they're there to mitigate symptoms or kind of hack your way to some other end. It ends up being a lot more dangerous than they foresee. And they don't know what these things will do in the future. They don't know. They never know. They don't know that. They don't have time machines. They don't know. And they're wrong more often than they're not. And a lot of the things that cause long-term effects, they can't even isolate or quantify. Like, there'll be a lot wrong with people, so they can't ever identify whether something actually was a cause for the person to have major problems. So it's just impossible to kind of nail down in a lot of cases. But the ones that you can see, the ones that you can actually link to the actual drug doing the damage, there are scads and scads of them. There are lots of examples of this. So, and I just remember the way this is being discussed, just not just him, but in the media, it's the same, it's the fen-phen thing. Oh, you don't have to take responsibility for what you're doing and what you're putting in your mouth. You can just have this magic pill. And the magic pill didn't work as they had, advertised it. So I'm just saying, I'm getting some fen-phen vibes.
dude, you've eaten. Now stop eating and let's get the cells ready for the uptake of all these nutrients and for the use and storage of these nutrients. That's what GLP-1s do. Every organ, from the brain to the toes. Okay, over time, we've refined and refined and refined the peptide chain because a lot of these molecules look very similar and they all come from the same backbone. So we've looked at the pure GLP-1s and we've evolved them from 15 years ago, things like Victoza, all the way through to Retatrutide. And now we're in the GLP-1 space where there are three current dominant GLP-1 molecules. One is called semaglutide, which is a pure GLP-1 molecule. The second molecule modification at a few amino acid sites, and semaglutide, by the way, is very commonly referred to as Ozempic or Wegovy. Exactly the same molecule. Here's how screwed up our healthcare system is, that they take the same product, call it by two different names.
It's branding. That's been happening since forever, and that's not what's screwed up about our healthcare system, by the way, is the naming and that kind of thing. Like, not the major problem. Major problem is that we're actually taking a pill for every kind of problem that we have, and we're hijacking our systems, buddy. That's what's wrong with it, is that the pill popping in answer of major problems is what the problem is.
One's got a diabetes indication, one's got a weight loss indication. Absolute bullshit. We're talking about semaglutide, which is the name for a particular protein peptide that is a pure GLP-1. Okay, it occupies the GLP-1 receptor and does what your natural GLP-1 does. Then we have a second polypeptide made by a different guy. The first one from Novo Nordisk, the next one from Eli Lilly, and Eli Lilly modified that peptide slightly.
Both names that leave a very bad taste in my mouth, just saying. These are two of the major guys, right? I don't have personal experience with Novo Nordisk, but I have personal experience with Eli Lilly. So, and I'm not saying anything one way or the other. I'm just saying these are some of the big heavy hitters, right? Like Pfizer, for example. There are a lot of others, but there's some really big names in this space, and both of those are some heavy hitters.
To form tirzepatide. Tirzepatide, commonly known as Zepbound or Mounjaro, is one peptide that has two functions. It's got a pure GLP-1 function, exactly the same as semaglutide, so 1-to-1, but then it's got an added function as a GIP, gastrointestinal inhibitory peptide, or glucagon inhibitory peptide. GIP.
Notice that a lot of these drugs, when you're listening to their full name, have the word inhibit in them. Like SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. That's a depression medication. When you're inhibiting something, you know, it's in most cases just hijacking something that's supposed to happen naturally. So I'm just saying it's just something to think about when you look at the terminology used.
A GIP agonist. Both of these are agonists. They make the function more excessive. Agonist makes to make more of, to make it more effective, to make it last longer, to function better. So tirzepatide is better than semaglutide because it has a double function. It is a promoter of GLP-1. It's a GLP-1 agonist, but also a GIP receptor agonist. So not only does it produce the GLP-1, it makes the GLP-1 work longer. So the original GLP-1 is great for appetite suppression, slows down stomach emptying, increases insulin, decreases glucagon.
There's a lot of people who have the stomach paralysis problems, gastroparesis, I think is what the technical term for it is, and who have a lot of other problems. And I can tell you at least 5 people that I know personally, just horrifying immediate reactions. Some of them stayed on it and had horrifying reactions down the line. So if you know that many people, I mean, when you start looking at like what the overall statistics are, they've got to be just awful. Most likely. You know, I'm not saying I can predict whatever their stats are as far as all of these side effects are. But, you know, if you put something in your mouth or you start eating something or putting something in your body and you get these violent, horrifying like reactions, just terrible, terrible side effects, that tells you it's hurting you and you need to stop. So, I mean, that's called common sense, I think. But in any way to say that it's a conspiracy theory that these drugs do harm more than they do any good, that's not true. That's just a way to shut people up that are saying things that are inconvenient for the pharmaceutical industry.
And primes all of the cells of the human body for nutrient uptake and for energy storage. Works alongside with insulin and these other hormones, amylin and a few others. Okay? Amylin being a cofactor of another peptide that works alongside insulin. So it's not just insulin, there are these other hormones that also have preparatory and signaling function. The GIP agonist that occurs in tirzepatide prolongs the impact of the GLP-1, increases insulin, changes fat signaling, and prolongs the effect of the GIP-1. So tirzepatide, definitely biologically better effect than pure semaglutide. Okay? And now we've got a third drug. The problem with tirzepatide and semaglutide is occasionally it'll drop your blood sugar too low. Occasionally it'll drop your blood sugar too low.
Okay.
And then the other problem they have is that they tend, if you are on a crappy standard American diet where you are deficient in protein, these two medications then increase protein turnover because the human body needs protein. So you break down your own muscles as a byproduct of protein requirement because you're not getting it from your mouth. If you're getting adequate protein from your mouth, you don't have.
Who do you think is taking this? By your own admission, you're talking about these two different side effects. Who do you think is taking this? This is being taken most of the time, and I'm not saying everybody that takes it. I'm just saying the population that wants to keep eating garbage when they eat. This is so that in a lot of cases, and I'm not talking about everybody, okay? And I believe in free market, like, hey, you take whatever risk you think is necessary. If there's something on the market, you decide what your risk level is and what you're willing to risk. And I know the feeling. Back when I was fat and everything and miserable, I felt like I would have sold my soul to the devil at one point. Not really, but I'm just saying, like, I was very desperate and I would do just about anything and take just about any risks. And if this came out, I might have thought about it way back then before I was awake. But, you know, the people who are eating the standard American diet are the people who are going to be injecting themselves with this. So that's going to be a common problem, is basically what he's saying, is the wasting. Oh my God, we don't need any stats to see that. When you see someone who's on Ozempic, they look sick as shit. I'm just saying, most of the time, not everybody, but they do a lot of times look sick as crap. So good God.
The muscle wasting. We'll get back to that in a second. Do you have type 2 diabetes? Are you on a ketogenic diet or a low-carb diet to try to get rid of your type 2 diabetes, but you're still having these spikes, these surges, these cravings? Well, one of the things to do is to use Ketone IQ. This is a pure ketone supplement.
2 hours later.
So now Eli Lilly have developed this drug called Retatrutide. And Retatrutide is the standard GLP-1. It's one molecule, one protein, but it has three functions. It has the GLP-1 agonist function, same as semaglutide, tirzepatide. It's got a GIP receptor agonist function, same as tirzepatide. And then in addition, it has a glucagon receptor agonist.
We got triple agonizing effects here. It's like the agonist. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just being goofy, but it's like, oh, it's triple the agony. I'm joking. I know that.
So it promotes the effect of glucagon. It functions similar to glucagon in cells. Why is that important? Well, first of all, depending on your diet, you could drop your blood sugar too low, especially if you're on other diabetic medications. Well, the glucagon receptor agonist, what glucagon does is it raises your blood sugar. So it raises that sugar. So it protects you from dangerous hypoglycemia, low blood sugar. But here's the secondary effect. That was the primary benefit, is it prevented hypoglycemia. But where does that sugar come from? Where does the sugar come from? Where does that energy come from for glucagon? What does glucagon do? Glucagon does two things. It does something called gluconeogenesis, the new production of sugar. Well, if you're not eating because you're on a GLP-1, where does that sugar come from? It comes from the conversion of protein to sugar. And where does the protein come from? Well, either from protein you've eaten or from your own muscles. So the first thing that the triple G does is it breaks down your own muscles and uses amino acids in a gluconeogenic way to produce sugar. That's how it raises your sugar. Releases sugar from the liver. If the liver is empty, it produces sugar from protein to elevate your blood sugar. So yeah, you're going to lose weight, but you're actually losing lean muscle mass. Secondly, what else does glucagon do? Glucagon drives ketogenesis. So glucagon
He just described eating yourself. Just saying.
drives the release of fat from the fat cells, non-esterified fatty acids, and in the liver drives the conversion of those fatty acids to ketones. Now, it is competing to a certain extent with insulin. Insulin is trying to block fat utilization so that you can use up your sugar. So we've got this competition happening. You got the release of fat and the production of fat, and therefore we've got an excess amount of protein that we're using up. And that's a big concern for me. Yes, your weight loss is excellent by overall body weight. So when you look at the early studies on Retatrutide, it's called the Triumph trials, and we're looking at the Triumph 4 data.
My studies.
Where they used, there's two trials where they used Retatrutide for a 48 weeks, almost a year. They saw a 24% total body weight loss.
I don't know. Some of these things, I will be fair. There are things that you can show in different studies. Like if you have a person that just is going about their life and you start injecting them with stuff, you can see things like weight loss. That's kind of obvious if you're not changing anything else and that's all you're doing. Something like this where you're finding out if something causes you to lose weight, how and whether it's safe and what it's going to do to you in the future, those questions are not answered so readily. But to see if somebody's dropping weight, that's something you can usually see. But again, like you have to trust where it's coming from because it can be cherry picked or fraudulent or, not real or whatever. But I think that most people know that a lot of people are losing weight with these drugs, but they, kind of ended up in the crypt keeper state. So
Massive weight loss, 1/4 of your body weight. And when you used it for 68 weeks, the results were 28.7% body weight loss, about on average in those subjects, about a 71 pound weight loss. The problem that they don't give is where's that weight coming from? Is it pure fat? Is it also muscle? And it's actually a combination of both. So perhaps not the best medication unless you are suffering from profound low blood sugar because of that glucagon receptor effect. And this is some of the reasons why it has not yet been released. Even though it's got great weight loss, there are some major concerns about the triple effect. But I do like it as a drug for my for some of my pure weight loss patients. For my diabetic patients, I'm a little concerned. And if you are going to be on this,
you need to be more than a little concerned for hawking this stuff, period. But this is very surprising to me coming from someone that resides in the space that he's in. Well, I'm surprised, but at the same time not, because of who it is.
medication, you really need to be on a carnivore-based diet so that the protein that is being used for gluconeogenesis is primarily coming from your mouth, not your muscles. Now, what Eli Lilly is going to do is they've developed another drug which combats and blocks muscle metabolism.
Have you ever heard me say something about satellite drugs where you make a drug that does a thing, it has side effects or it does things you don't want it to do, and then so what you can do is you can make more money because you can make another drug that stops the thing the first drug is doing, or stops part of the negative things that the first drug is doing, thereby increasing your profits exponentially.
So these are all in the production phases. They're in trial. But so you're going to take your Retatrutide at a high dose, and instead of using your own muscles, we're going to take the second medication to block muscle wasting. It's starting to get quite obscene. So, in my opinion, still the best drug out.
Okay, so I'll give him credit for saying that that's obscene. I was a little worried he was going to say, so now Eli Lilly is coming out with something so that you could take the first drug. I was waiting on it, but glad he did not say that.
There is tirzepatide,
Oh, dude.
which is semaglutide plus. Semaglutide is still the standard medication for me. It is an excellent, excellent, excellent drug, particularly in people on a carnivore or carnivore-based diet who are
No words. No words.
mostly eating high-fat animal products, who are not eating a lot of carbohydrates, or for my type 1 or type 2 diabetics. For my cardiovascular patients, semaglutide is also excellent. Tirzepatide may be a little bit better. For my cognitive impairment patients, for my patients with polycystic ovarian syndrome, my patients with fatty liver, Ozempic is good enough. Semaglutide is good enough. The tirzepatide adds a slight benefit, but I'm not certain for most people it adds that much of a benefit, except in the weight loss group, the effect is quite profound. And in the type 2 diabetic group, it is quite a profound improvement. So there are places where I'll use the tirzepatide. Retatrutide, I have yet to see, but intellectually, I think its greatest benefit is going to be on those patients who are massively enormous, who do not want to have weight loss surgery, or patients with severe heart disease, having said which the heart is a muscle and you want to preserve that muscle protein.
You know, here's the thing. Like, if you are 900 pounds and you're bedbound and you are stuck in your home, like you can't leave, situation like that, I'm not saying that it's possible that something like this could assist with that because it's just so far gone. You know, that's something that every person, like I said, would have to make a choice on. So I know possibly there's situations where, I don't know, this hijacking could be something that's necessary, but I think that that's obviously not the way these drugs are being used. So these drugs are being offered like candy. They're just being handed out like Halloween candy. And I mean, not really like Halloween candy because you inject them, but you get my point. Like, if you go to the doctor and you're overweight, like they'll give it to you in just without a second thought, without much looking at your history or looking into your situation. Or if you don't even hardly need to lose any weight. So, yeah, not a fan. But I do understand if you have someone who's housebound, 900 pounds stuck in their house. I mean, could this possibly be something that would assist with that? Maybe. Again, still dangerous, but that's my opinion.
So of everybody that needs to be on a pure carnivore diet, it is the people on Retatrutide, and you never have to worry about insulin suppression when you're using a GLP-1 because they trigger insulin. So overall, these medications, in my experience, are absolutely excellent. They're absolutely excellent. The side effects that all the gum flappers and the conspiracy theorists are worried about, oh, this person turned blind. Yes, there is an issue with C-cell cancer of the thyroid, but it's a very rare cancer, and you're going to know if you've got MEN type 2. And if you don't know, we can test. But it doesn't cause thyroid cancer, it causes C-cell cancer.
Oh, that makes me feel so much better. Okay. Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Slightly different. So please don't get swept up in all of these idiosyncratic, the side effect. None of them are worse than placebo. And I'm not pro these drug companies, but
Yes, you are. That's what this is. This is a commercial. It's a commercial. Wait till the end. It's a commercial. I haven't watched the entire video. I'm watching it for the first time with you guys, but in total, but I did see the end. So wait for it. It's a commercial.
with the diseases that we deal with, the severity of all of these metabolic diseases, these medications are literally miraculous in terms of how they mitigate against it. Obviously,
Miracles.
they've got to be used in partnership with a change in your diet, a change in your way of life, and ideally should be monitored and managed together with a physician so that we don't
There's the
use
number. That's what
massive
that
or
was
high
for.
doses, so that we can create or prevent drug resistance by altering the dosing or stretching the timing of the dosing or having drug holidays. But the medication should be available to you.
Holiday. Drug holiday. I'm sorry. A drug holiday. I'm sorry. I'll be serious, I swear.
Even once you've improved yourself episodically when you're struggling. Because remember, majority of you are already taking other medications. You might be taking blood pressure medications, some of the commonest out there. You might be taking diabetic medications. You take those with impunity. You may be.
Okay, he's all right. I don't know what he's about to say here, but is he about to say, well, you take the other stuff, so why won't you take this? Right? See if I'm right.
But you're still going to take them for blood pressure, for stroke, or for whatever it is. But you're not going to take this medication.
He even did the
The
voice.
second biggest fight I have with my patients, when appropriate, is to get them to try the medication. But the overwhelmingly biggest fight I have with my patients is to try to get them stopping the medication when they no longer need it or it's been too effective.
Oh, there's that cringy little poem he did from, if you don't know where this is from, there was a movie called The Gambler, and a guy named Kenny Rogers, who was like a country western singer, sang a song, and these are lyrics to the song turned into this like little freaking commercial thing for these GLP-1s. Man, I can't, there's no words that I can use to actually describe how freaking cringy this is. Anyway, and I get upset when I see people pushing a lot of these medications that I don't believe need to even be in existence for the most part. In fact, I think they might need a black box warning for how bad they are. But it's just my opinion.
It really is a very, very good set of drugs. In clinical practice, where I use it every day,
A little bit of throw up comes up every time he talks about how great they are. I'm sorry. It just does.
to benefit people with serious metabolic health issues. See the benefits. If you see some skinny little person who wants to lose 10 pounds, absolutely the wrong thing to do, in my opinion.
Well, at least he said that. You know.
But if you've got profound insulin resistance, if you've got metabolic disease that could benefit from this, definitely use it. And we can use it at ultra low doses and monitor and manage your blood work according to it. But please understand that the side effects are early and not dramatic, especially if you partner with it. The benefits are enormous.
I know 3 people personally who did not experience side effects early. They experienced side effects later, and they were horrifying. They were bad, just really bad. Like they didn't kick the bucket, but they had major problems, and it did not show up immediately. Now, some other people, it showed up immediately. You have to understand, to push the idea that these drugs are just wonderful and perfect and just only a few people have problems with them. Yeah, that might have worked early on, but it doesn't work anymore because they're giving it to everybody. They're handing it out to anybody that wants it. So the problem is everybody knows people on these drugs, and they know what they go through because it's family members and friends who are very vocal about what they go through. You can't just gaslight people anymore. It's not going to work. It's just not going to work, and people are going to continue to do this because some people don't feel like crap when they take these. There are some that don't. I think I knew of one person who, but I mean, that tells you something, is all the people I knew that were on it. I think only one person didn't really have any significant complaints. But the funny thing about that, and this is just anecdotal, it's just my sphere of like people, But the person who didn't complain didn't lose any weight, and he was big and he needed to lose a lot of weight, but he didn't lose a pound. In fact, he started eating more, which I thought was shocking because I didn't think it would really work that way. But I mean, everybody's their own little universe, like I always say, so.
And far better if we can get you off your blood pressure medication, reduce your ongoing cardiovascular risk, get you off a statin. Okay, most people are on a statin. But let's see what you can do with this medication if you're interested in being managed and prescribed these medications that are appropriate for you in the right physiologic dosing, not the more is better manner. Give us a shout, 561-517-0642. We will help you to decide when and whether to take them, in what pattern to take them, and how to create the ideal eating and physically active plan that goes along with the optimal use of these medications. Remember, they are transitional medications to optimize your health to the point that you no longer need them. They are not forever medications. I am the Carb Addiction Doc. Give me a shout if you want to know more. But Retatrutide looks interesting, but I do have some concerns, whereas I'm very solid on my use of semaglutide and tirzepatide.
Okay, so what did you think about his commercial? I'm not a fan. Just saying. Let me know in the comments down below what your opinion is of all of this. And do you take these? Any of these? You looking forward to that new one that's coming out? I want to know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. And if you like the video, if you could hit the like button, I would really appreciate it. And make sure that you subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on future drug commercials like this. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.